do you call
when all that you see
are actors on your television singing off key?
What savvy, well-versed heroes can settle this score once more with TV. Welcome, Sams and Deans, to Season 2 of Once More with TV, a podcast celebrating TV musical episodes from the sublime to the subprime.
And definitively ranking them using every theater child's worst nightmare, math.
I'm your co-host, Alex Kovnatsky, he, him, and I am a Hadestown enthusiast.
And I'm your co-host, Liza Truschel, she, her, and I think Supernatural was on for 10 years too long. I'm going to put it in a full decade.
It's 2005 to 2020, which is
That's
later than I thought.
Long.
This episode we're talking about is Season 10, Episode 5, and also the 200th episode, premiered in November 2014. Liza, what's your relationship to Supernatural?
I've seen it. Well, I have a confession to make, and this is actually sort of grueling for me to say, but I was briefly a Super Hulock girl. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, but explain it for our audience.
It's so painful. There was this internet site called Tumblr, and with no E. I still to this day can't spell Tumblr with an E. It actually looks weird to me. But, a certain pocket community that really survived and thrived on there was people who were into Supernatural, Doctor Who, and the Stephen Moffat Sherlock starring Benedict Cumberbatch that all were coming out around the same time. And yeah, I mean, I was there. I was a part of it. I grew out of it. I'm a better person now. We all go through traumas. But yeah, I used to love Supernatural. I really did. And for those first, I really do, when I say 10 years, I actually do mean it. I think up to Season 5 was genuinely really fun. I love a Monster of the Week. I'm a huge Buffy fan. I'm a huge X-Files fan. This heavily borrows from both of those properties. It really, in Season 5, they beat the devil or God. I can't remember, but and then they just have to keep going for 10 years.
Oh.
It really does it became way too muddy for me. The lore on the show became way too, couldn't keep up anymore because I couldn't remember what demons we were friends with now and which we were mad at and which characters had turned into who, because we would just recast people. And, I really did get sick of toxic masculinity around this time, which the show really thrives on. And but I did watch a significant amount of this for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, the Super Hulock community is definitely one that I was very adjacent to, but never fully in. So that's that's a fun reveal for me personally.
Yeah, no, I'm not super proud. I watched that Sherlock show back recently, and I was like, we thought this was good.
Yeah. There was one period of time in my life where I was like, this is the best made TV show ever, and I don't know how they tricked me.
Dude, I was watching it, and he has this whole he figures out someone's a drunk because her cell phone, the bit where you put the charging cable in, is all scratched up, and he's like, it's because she's a drunk. I'm like, mine is scratched up because no one has ever one-shotted putting their charger into their phone, you freak. The conclusions he's drawing don't make any sense. And then the mind palace that looks like a word cloud is the most cringy shit I've ever seen in my life.
Totally.
It's some good acting. I feel like that's what really carries it. It's some good acting, and Stephen Moffat has that very snappy writing. Of course, he was also writing for Doctor Who at the time, so I feel like that was a lot of the crossover for a lot of people. But he kind of writes the one plot over and over, and he has some mommy issues. We don't need to get into that. That's a different show. But yeah, Super Hulock was unfortunately, it was a big part of my it was a developmental stage for me. And
it made you who you are. So
exactly.
I'm not mad
I'm not going to excise it from myself because it's part of me. Okay. I've moved on, but it was there. Have you ever seen Supernatural before?
Kind of no. My old roommate Nat, shout out Nat, big Supernatural fan. And in my head for years, Supernatural was a show that was more adjacent to Buffy than I think it actually is. Because I remember walking in on an episode and being like, oh, this is how these guys talk? Like, I'm big and tough like this all the time. And I was like, oh, whoa, I thought it was goofier, which is funny watching this episode because this episode's pretty goofy.
This is a very goofy episode.
And I like that. It made me like that. Well, we'll get into how we feel about this episode, but I think Supernatural for me is like a little bit too serious, generally speaking.
Totally.
I really didn't know anything about it, so I was wildly catching up this whole episode.
I can imagine that it would be pretty overwhelming for someone who'd never seen this show before. I mean, they made references I didn't understand that were like clearly to characters or things that happened that I was like, okay, I got nothing. Like I have no idea what that means. They do have really low voices. They sort of Batman at each other all the time. They're
really
sort of doing dueling Batman impressions constantly, which I had also forgotten about. And I was like, wow, masculinity is crazy.
It does feel like that, right? The little bits I've seen of Supernatural feels really like performative masculinity in a way that I really don't care for at all.
Same.
So I kind of was just turned off to the whole thing to begin with.
Totally.
But this episode had very little of that. So
this episode,
I
they're also actively poking fun at that, which makes it a little bit easier to stomach, maybe. Because that is a really key part of the show, is the way that Sam and Dean perform masculinity. It's sort of like the basis of the show.
Not to put you on blast too much, but I also want to ask, the episode is entitled Fan Fiction. What's your relationship to fan fiction?
Oh, sure. This is such a great question. I've definitely read fan fiction for a long time. I was like, I've never written it, but I used to read it a lot. Not specifically much about Supernatural, because I found that I couldn't add lore to the overwhelming amount of lore on the show.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I do know, like, it had an extremely active fan fiction community, which is basically what they're addressing here. Like, extremely. Like, I think still if you go on, like, any of the major sites, like AO3 or something like that, it's still, like, one of the number one. It's like that and Harry Potter have the most shit ever written, right?
If this is based on no science at all, but if I had to go off rip, the big three are Harry Potter, Supernatural, and Twilight.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true at all. I could be completely wrong.
I don't know if Twilight, I think it might just be because of 50 Shades, to be perfectly honest, like why the Twilight fan fiction really blew up. But I think you're absolutely right. Like, it was one of those big ones. And so I didn't read a lot of Supernatural specific fan fiction. I did know it was happening because I was on Tumblr, right? And people are like, a lot of shipping is happening there.
Supernatural was huge on Tumblr.
Huge on Tumblr. Absolutely enormous. So a lot of shipping was happening there. A lot of like pastel gifs around, a lot of edits to specific music. So I don't know. I've read a lot of fan fiction. Some of it's really good. I mean, like, now I think there's a movement toward getting writers, like, paying legitimate attention to writers who start off writing fan fiction. A lot of like recently published romance books have started as fan fiction. I haven't read those, but I do like that people are getting that kind of attention, because I think it's been a very valid mode of expression for a lot of people. I do think there's a lot of weird shit in it, which they also sort of address here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, what about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, kind of same as you. Loved fan fiction growing up. Read a lot of Harry Potter fan fiction.
Tons.
I have a lot of love for fan fiction, right? I think it's a really beautiful community, and I think it teaches young readers and writers how to experiment with different things.
I think it's a really creative way of engaging with a property that you love. I have a lot of respect for people who do that. And yeah, it's really fun. I don't know. It is a really great way for people to like start to learn to express themselves without the onus of world building. It kind of like lets people in this side door into just telling the story they want to tell before they can build a whole world around it.
Totally. And I think it's like low-key kind of one of the best ways to introduce literary analysis to kids at a young age, because they like understand themes and tropes, and like, people start dissecting sentences because it connects to some kind of idea that can relate to their ship, right? Whether it's like huge justification and reading in between the lines or not is whatever, but it teaches kids how to do that, which I think is really important.
That's such a good point. I love that. I mean, it's also impossible to talk about Supernatural without talking about queer baiting, speaking of like pulling apart sentences. It was really like, this show was the most queer baity shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. Especially with, and they address this in the episode, so we can just jump in the episode, but Destiel, which was Dean, and Castiel, the angel, who's sort of like a bit character in this episode, was really like, they understood that relationship was primarily perceived as romantic by fans, and pretty explicitly didn't want to engage with that in the show, to the point where in the finale, okay, so I also have to say, shout out to the Supernatural. I know it was on 10 Years Too Long. Actually, huge shout out to the Supernatural series finale for coming out on election night in 2020. Absolutely iconic. Never change. Or like during that week, you know, like there were like 4 days where we didn't know what was happening, and it was like the worst 4 days of our lives.
Oh my God.
I got on Tumblr for the first time in like 10 years and realized like Supernatural had its finale, and every single person who was like going crazy because of the world decided to re-engage and absolutely lose their minds. And it was like really cleansing for me, and I actually am very grateful. But basically in the finale of this show, like, Cass finally admits that he loves Dean, and he literally goes straight to hell. Afterward. And like Dean also dies in the finale because he gets impaled. I'm sorry, like massive spoilers, I guess, but he gets impaled on a nail during the last ever fight that they go on, and he just like gets tetanus and dies. Like, it's like this really stupid death. But I guess they were trying to make a point about like the mundanity of it, and it was like always a dangerous profession, and he's survived all these crazy things, but whatever. And literally he goes to heaven, and so does his car. Like, his car baby is in heaven, and Cassio's not.
Oh.
Like, they literally just like, he finally tells Dean he loves him, and he fucking goes to hell forever. Like, the show like really hated.
Oh, that sucks.
It's not good, but I'm really just glad that it came out in early November of 2020. Thank you for that.
Let's get into the episode itself, because I feel like we're bleeding into it a little bit. The synopsis for this, I love the IMDb synopsis. They're so short. This one is just Sam and Dean investigate a haunting at a theater.
Great. And end of show.
End of show. But to give a little bit more context, Sam and Dean, who are the two main characters of Supernatural, are going to this all-girls school that is putting on a production of Supernatural the musical, and, you know, wacky supernatural things are happening outside of that production too. But I would love to hear kind of general off the cuff what you thought about this episode overall.
It was interesting because I haven't watched Supernatural. Well, I watched this finale because I was delirious. But I hadn't like really engaged with Supernatural since I think like I stopped watching in like season 7. So that's like 12-13 years ago. And so immediately like I had like a full body shiver. And I was full of fear and anxiety. But, you know, this ended up being a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to really engage, but by like maybe 2/3 in, I was giggling. Like, I did genuinely find this funny, and I did remember like some of the charm of this show. Yeah, I had a better time than I thought I was going to have. How about you?
Kind of the same. I really liked this episode in a lot of ways. I thought it was really funny. I laughed a lot. We've talked about this. I feel like I'm always saying things like this of like, it's not really a musical episode, it's a blank. But this is another one of those where I feel like it's not really a musical episode. It's more of like a 200th episode love letter to the fans.
Yes, that's really what it is.
Yeah, and I found that really sweet. As someone who knows nothing, I thought it was pretty sweet and like clearly making a lot of callbacks to a lot of stuff that happens in the show. And I found it funny without knowing a whole bunch of stuff. So I think that's a huge testament. And I'm sure, I mean, I did the research. People love this episode, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I think it's really sweet in that way.
Yeah.
As a musical episode, I don't think it's that good, and I think there are a lot of things I don't like about this episode. But I think it's really sweet.
Yeah. Again, I think the overall message of it is like, hey, we have our version of Supernatural that is the TV show. Everybody has their own valid interpretations of this. That's sort of the journey Dean goes on throughout the episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like his story is his, but their version is, their version.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to like it. It just has to be theirs, which I think is actually a really sweet thing to say to like their unbelievably active fan base.
I want to say this up top while we were talking about slash fiction a second ago. It is funny that it's like an all girls school and girls primarily write fan fiction, especially gay fan fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize that these two guys were brothers, and because they don't look like brothers at all.
No, they don't.
And I was like, oh, but isn't there like a lot of gay fan fiction for them? Like, aren't they brothers?
Yeah.
And like, that's only a little bit weird for fan fiction, but I didn't realize that it's really Dean and what's the other person's name? The Castiel. Those are that's really the big ship that came.
That's
from this.
the big one. Although I hate that I know this, but when you shipped the Winchester brothers, the ship was called Wincest.
That's very good.
I had it as one of my blocked tags. So I did have to know what it meant.
Wincest. It's so funny it has the word win in it. That's
Isn't it?
really, really good. Yeah, see, you know what? Fan fiction's great for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's awful, but it's great.
Yeah.
The opening title card thing I thought was pretty fun. Like they have
So that's all the title cards they've ever had for the show.
Okay. I thought
that's
that was
what
cool.
that was. I thought that was really fun because they had like an X-Files episode, which is where like the S1 comes from, and that was all the title cards for all 10 seasons up until that point, which I actually thought was very sweet. And again, like very much felt like 200th episode. Like let's just revisit where we are. It also always did the then now.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like so that was how they did previously on. And then, like the backdrop of like the road going off into the distance was very much like an iconic imagery from season 1. So like they were pulling in a lot of like, this was like thick with references.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Is the principal's name Salazar?
Dude, the most needlessly villainous name. I really thought that was going to be our villain the whole time because people were like, I'm going to Principal Salazar. I'm like, that's a villain.
Yeah, that's literally Slytherin. What are we doing here?
It's so insane for that person to never show up. For them to
and they say his name twice. It's
twice.
Really weird.
I will say there's a lot. So we open on like a rehearsal of the show. We've got some really classic, like early 2010s theater on TV shit going on,
yes.
By which I mean like our writer is wearing a beret because that's all. It was very like High School Musical.
It was
coded,
really
a lot
High
of the
School Musical coded
choices. She's wearing glasses. Also, that early 2010s, and I had these glasses, which was so painful to me. But like the thick brim glasses, but like only the top is like colored in, and the bottom is clear. That was brutal for me to see on television. And then like the theater teacher wearing some kind of weird flowy kimono thing that serves no purpose, right? Like I was like, okay, we are making some clear statements here, and a huge chunky pendant at her navel. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I love that it's an all-girls school, so it's always going to be, girls playing guy characters, but it's just fun that the first thing you see is two girls playing the two brothers, and I think that really works for me in a lot of ways.
It was really, really fun. I loved the makeup 5 o'clock shadow. That was very funny to me. I did enjoy it a lot. Of course, like the teacher is our first victim of our unseen, we get a classic Buffy shot, like classic anything shot, but classic Buffy shot of like monster POV through a bush, like looking out after the.
Well,
I think I was thinking Buffy because she's exiting a high school.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Is it a high school or is it a college? I couldn't tell.
It's a high school.
Okay.
It has to be.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And yeah, she's like too drunk. She's just like this. She's a drunkard. She also says, why couldn't they do Godspell?
Yeah, where's the truth in Supernatural? Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It's a while before we really get to a song.
Yeah. So we get like a snippet of The Road So Far, but we really don't get the music until they actually put on the show. Which was another
way, by the way, that like when they were doing a big flashback, it would say The Road So Far. So that's also a like Supernatural specific phrase, turn of phrase. So I appreciated that.
But when we see that first rehearsal snippet of that song, what was your take on that? Like, what did you think about the music of that moment, or just even, how they shot that rehearsal?
So much of that rehearsal is focused on Sam and Deed's reactions to what's happening
in
as
Dutch
they realize
angles.
It's just in Dutch angles. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like we suddenly are in Dutch angles. The fear and confusion that these two straight men feel. It's like a young girl sings about their lives. Like Sam even makes a note that the production value is charming, but it did charm me like a lot. Like I thought some of the stage effects were really funny. Like there's iconic image from season 1 of Supernatural is their mom burning on the ceiling, and to have that like they have a little like cardboard, it looks like a like cardboard cutout thing where you stick your head through at like a corn maze. And to have that of mom on the ceiling had me like in stitches. That's fucking hysterical. I will give them that. Yeah, I thought the song was like, it's relatively catchy. Yeah. It's interesting. I thought like the vocalist was really good. It sounds like a teenage girl in a way that was like very believable, but one who's like on pitch. You can see why she got the lead. The lyrics are simplistic, but they're trying to tell a story. It's an expositional song.
Sure. And it's presumably written by a student.
Yes, it's very much supposed to be written by Marie, who's like the main high schooler we interact with. And it felt like it could have been written by a student.
Exactly.
Which I liked.
Yeah. Yeah. I also feel exactly the same way as you on this. I thought it was, pretty simple, but exactly what a school production feels like. And the interesting thing is that there's so many production values. Like, I don't know what their budget was for this. Like,
I know,
having
right?
a car and everything, so many scene changes.
I know. It's so funny because at first it starts off like very believable high school production. And then we get to like the car, and then we get to like, there are these lamps outside when Castiel's singing his song. And I was like, damn, those are expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's so interesting to me too. And I have a couple thoughts on this, but all of the numbers in the actual show, every single person singing is just standing and singing. Like there's no blocking. It's all park and bark. And it was interesting to me as a choice that they have such high production values for everything, but then like no staging at all.
Yeah.
Or choreo or anything
maybe
like
this
that.
is where Marie struggles as a director.
Yeah. Right? Like that might be a comment on it. Because that's the thing. I was like wondering, like, is that, an intentional choice, or do they not care about the actual staging of a musical at all, or having choreo at all? Right? I was in between those.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting point because there's zero dancing.
Yeah.
I mean, no one does any. The most choreographed movement that happens is like, of course, like Dean is fighting something in the background of the show,
Well, yes.
which is genuinely hysterical. Some Muppet ass shit of like a man flying through the background of a scene. Which always gets me. That's always a good joke. It's always going to
work. But yeah, the only intentional blocking ever in it is when there's like a ritual going on in the background.
Yes, there's a ritual going on in the background of a song, and like a scarf flies out of someone's mouth, which was again really funny.
And also really awesome production values. Like really cool
fantastic
stuff. Why aren't they moving on the stage at all? I don't get it.
I know. I had the same thought. But yeah, I mean, in order to get to the musical, we gotta get through a lot of plot.
Yeah.
A lot of, investigating the monster of the week. We do have some fun bits about like, I thought the girl who played the tech, stage
the stage manager,
I thought
great.
she was great.
She was really expressive.
She had a deadpan thing that like really worked.
Yeah.
I was really into her.
Yeah.
And we got to figure out we got to figure out what this monster is, this thing that's like killing people. We find out that in order to, it's Calliope, it's a muse.
Calliope again. We had Calliope in fucking the Grey's Anatomy one.
I know, dude. We're never gonna be free.
And also, like, I think this is maybe a little bit closer to what Calliope was as a muse, but it also still isn't. At least they weren't doing the Grey's Anatomy thing of saying Calliope means music, which just is not true.
Completely untrue.
But I don't know why they keep leaning back on this muse who's like, a pretty minor Greek myth character.
But also they kill her, which is wild because she's been around for like thousands of years.
Yeah.
And I guess like the supernatural version of her, she eats people once they're done with their magnum opus, which is wild. It really... Okay, Calliope bothered me on a few fronts. First of all, she looked cheap as hell. I'm so sorry. But she looked like she was in the high school production.
Mm-hmm.
Like, straight up, that dress was from TJ Maxx, and they curled her hair with a Revlon 1.5 inch. Like, it was really, she looked cheap. And that's unfortunate for something that's supposed to be thousands of years old.
Yeah.
Like, give me a little more gravitas for her. And then she said that, like, she was drawn there because of how great Supernatural is, which is kind of, like, annoying.
Yeah.
But I didn't really love that, like, self-congratulatory shit. But also she says, like, maybe I was drawn here because, like, the subject of the show, like, Sam is also there. I'm like, no, you were here before him.
Yeah.
He came here because you were here. So that's not why you're here,
bitch.
Yeah,
that
like,
I
was really irritated by that. And also then she said she didn't like Act 2. So I'm like, why are you here? Like... There's no reason for you to be here. Like, it was so unjustified. And then they kill her and she explodes into purple goo. Insane. But I was like, okay, well, where are we now that there's nothing to inspire artists?
Yeah, that's
in the
true.
next several thousand years.
Who are we going to call on?
I really just thought that was not thought out at all.
Yeah, it feels like they just needed a different villain. I didn't really understand the motivation behind that at all. A fun fact, apparently this is one of 2 episodes in all of Supernatural where the only death in the episode is the monster of the week.
Oh my god.
It's kind of
this
interesting.
show is dark.
Yeah, right. I want to talk a little bit about the meta-ness of the episode. There's a lot of really good bits. I kind of I have a love-hate relationship with fourth wall breaking, but I love every time they made a joke about subtext was very good for me. I thought it was really funny. Like, he says, can you take a sub-step back there to those
Yeah, that was good. I did like that a lot. Yeah, I think, like, the meta-ness of it gets a little, like, you get douche chills sometimes when people do, like, these overly meta things. And I think, actually, the one meta joke that I actually really didn't appreciate was when they said they didn't like meta stuff. I was like, that's actually the step too far for me. Like, you're not allowed to not like it because now it's annoying.
Yeah.
All of the other ones I did find mostly pretty funny. Even Dean looking right at the camera.
He's really silly.
I will say, okay, like, that's one of my other things. One of the reasons I'm mad that Supernatural was on so long is I think Jensen Ackles is genuinely really good. I think he's really funny. I think he can do the dramatic scenes really well. I think he got really stuck in this part and, like, could have gone on to do more interesting things and was kind of, like, stuck in this show for 15 years. I've been saying for, the last decade that I actually think he probably would have made a stronger Hawkeye than Jeremy Renner.
Oh, totally.
Especially a post Matt Fraction.
Yeah, Matt
Hawkeye.
Fraction. I was going to say that. Matt Fraction, him, Hawkeye, I could see him being so tired.
So tired.
Yeah.
So annoyed and so incompetent.
But then also the superhero that everyone sleeps with. I could see
Still
that
a
too.
superhero, but mostly tired and beat up and annoyed.
Yeah, yeah.
I sometimes resent this show for sort of like keeping him under a bushel for so long and really pigeonholing him. Because he's genuinely funny in this episode.
100%.
He really is pretty good. He gets a lot of really good reactions and knows when to not overdo something.
He does a good job, especially of like, he has to be the one who doesn't like theater, and the other brother is the one that's like, well, no, it's actually kind of okay, right? Like, I like these production values. We did Oklahoma or whatever he was saying before. And he does a good job of having that journey of going like, no, okay, I can understand why people like this, or I can accept this version of the story, like you were saying before. The reason why I think the meta-ness works in this is because oftentimes breaking the fourth wall or being too meta is going against the earnestness of a scene. It's like, hey, we understand that this is bad and dumb, right? We're in on how bad and dumb this is. And it's like, no, stand on that. Like the weird shit you're doing in your show. Like, don't have a cop out. And
this is why you and I have a whole category called commitment.
Exactly. Just like the thing you're doing. But it is, I think, because this episode is so earnest and so clearly a love letter to fans, all the kind of meta-ness feels warm instead of snarky. And I think that's why it probably works for me. Were there any other bits in this before we get to the musical part of it? Because, man, I had so many things written down.
God, I know. I'm trying to look through my absolute, like, cavalcade of notes here. There's a kid who said, actually, I was hoping we'd do Wicked. That really made me
very good. Not a Supernatural fan.
And then someone else was like, we should have just done The Outsiders. Like, people were like, why didn't we do a normal show? That really got me. I did feel like there was a missed joke in the villain of this being a scarecrow and there being a super famous scarecrow in a musical. I felt like I felt like there was a missed joke there.
That monster at first did not look like a scarecrow to me, so I was really confused.
Not at all. It was just spooky.
Yeah.
Also, there in Flint, Michigan, there is one Black child in this school.
It's really weird. really took me out immediately.
Exactly. I literally, that threw me, honestly. They're like, we're going to Flint, Michigan to an all-white girls' private school, basically. That was shocking to me.
I really like the One Woman Orphan Black show
That's
joke.
That's funny. Oh my God.
It's funny because she changes characters, right? In Orphan Black. So like she's presumably playing multiple characters in that one woman show.
That's very funny. I will say I cackled when that girl put a wig on top of her hair. That was basically her hair. That's hilarious.
It's really good.
That's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
She puts the Sam wig on and she has the Sam wig's hair and then she wears it. She also does I love a Barbara Streisand joke. You know,
oh, that's really good.
And Yentl is one of it's a masterpiece. It's a true masterpiece. And so I love any reference to Yentl.
Yeah, I'm going to Barbara Streisand this bitch is just a very, very good
That's
line.
Very strong. That was a strong joke. That got me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's clear that the writer for this knows musicals enough to make a lot of musical references in it. There's just like a lot of references to everything, like X-Files and Ghostbusters and stuff. I don't know. Is the show really like referential like this, or is it just this episode?
I don't think of it as overly referential. Like, I think there is some, but the references are not in this oeuvre. They're not normally about like, so like there'll be references to like hyper masculine properties. So there'll be like Chuck Norris references, and there'll be like Gallagher was like a whole thing, right? So it's like that's sort of more what they'll refer to, and they certainly don't accidentally quote Rent on any other episode of the show.
I love the is he quoting Rent? Not enough to get us in any trouble.
Fantastic.
It's very
That's also
good.
Like there were some solid jokes here. This was clearly written A by someone who knew musicals, B by someone who'd done high school musicals.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of like solid references in that. Like high school girls yelling at each other, calling the other one like a tyrant is classic.
Yeah, totally.
And you know, there were, like Lee said, there was some real honesty in moments of the production design that were really fun to watch. And you know, like Dean coming over and touching the prop table and the director immediately getting mad. Like that made me laugh.
Yeah, it was really good. It was fun to see like all of the behind the scenes workings, because we don't always shine a light on that kind of stuff. And it was nice and good and accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
fun.
just shout out the stage manager girl. She was
stage
great.
manager was really fun. Her like just nudging those sliders really made me laugh.
It was really good. She had really good comedic timing, I thought.
Yeah, she was good.
So let's get into the actual show once
Let's
it
do
starts. Pretty decent turnout. I think that was a pretty good audience for them. We start with The Road So Far actually being sung through. What did you think about the actual performance of this when it's in the actual show?
Well, first of all, we have a full orchestration where we've been just rehearsing with piano, which also feels very honest to how musicals are rehearsed, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have a full orchestra the whole time. So that was nice. Again, I think it was like pretty catchy. It's a short song. It's, again, dense with references to supernatural, including like shooting things, saving people, the family business, right? Like, there is some stage blocking here. We've got like dad in the background, like shooting things as he's like teaching the boys to like grow up to be monster hunters. That wasn't lit particularly well. So I was confused as to what was going on. So yeah, I mean, again, like the vocal is like very appropriate, very strong enough. It's good. She's on key. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine.
And I do think it's all the actors singing their own stuff, which is fun.
I think it sounds really like that. Yeah, I don't think we really auto-tuned anyone. I couldn't really hear that.
No, everybody sounded good and sounded pretty natural, which is, you know, kind of awesome.
Would you
considering...
say they sounded super and they sounded natural?
Oh, I did say that. Wow. That was not intentional. They sounded very natural. But it was interesting that, you know, this came out in 2014, like the glee of it all had already happened by this point, but they kind of didn't go in with that auto-tune direction. And the arrangement was really nice and complex, actually. I thought was interesting. It made me kind of spin out because I was like, is there a pit? No, there's not a pit here.
No,
so they had to like record this with a bunch of instruments and have a backing track. But that's fine. I can extend that a little bit. But I thought this was really good. I would love some more harmony. I feel like they did so much with the actual musical arrangement and then not anything at all with harmonies. They had like one harmony line at the very end of this and another harmony line at the very end of the Carry On My Wayward Son bit.
I have lots of notes about that.
Yeah.
I really wish there'd been more harmonies because I love a harmony, and to me that's like so much of, but mostly people were singing in unison. That was really the majority of the show.
They didn't do it so much in this song. They do it much more in the later songs, but the cutting between the music and another scene and then coming back to the music was driving me crazy in this episode. And how much we weren't putting the camera on the stage and putting it on people's reactions was just too much. Too many cuts. Yeah,
because we have the whole confrontation with Calliope like mid-song. And it's like a long confrontation. And again, she looks cheap. I was so mad at this scene. I think I was just resentful it was happening and therefore like trying to pick it apart.
Well, it was also happening during, I think, A Single Man Tear, which was the best
song. And the best
so good.
Also, like the backing vocals to that being like a Latin ritual was absolutely hysterical.
Really inspired and really tasteful. It sounded really good.
It sounded great. Single Man Tear's really funny, again, poking at this performative masculinity of the show and how men are only allowed to express emotion a very specific way, and that's one single man tear.
Yeah. I thought all of the music here felt like musical theater music, which sounds obvious, but I think is actually kind of hard to do. I think they got that style exactly right. And this song in particular, I felt like could have been a Pasek and Paul song. Like, I think they really nailed the sound of that. I was just really mad that they kept cutting during this song, and I wanted way more of this song than I did of any of the other action.
Here's my thing. I think this song and this episode would have been I'll just go ahead and throw a guess at a million times funnier if you had just stayed on the stage and Dean is just fighting the thing in the background, and we never cut to Dean's POV.
Yes.
We never cut to him actually tackling it. We just have a full-grown man running and being thrown either side of the stage, and these kids have to keep the show together. That's a lot funnier.
And it could have been really funny too if like the girls singing are like fighting for attention a little bit from it, you know, like don't let that pull your attention.
Ignore the man fighting a giant scarecrow right in front of the backdrop. Please ignore him.
It's crazy. We skipped a song in between that.
We did. We skipped I'll Just Wait Here Then, which is like, you know, a meme-ish moment from the show, a very famous joke from the show where, again, Cass calls, I think it was Dean or Sam, he calls one of the brothers and he's like, okay, I'm here. And they're like, well, we'll see you there in the morning. And it's like, okay, I'll just wait here then. And he waits there like for like 9 hours for the producers to get there. Yeah, because he's awkward. He's an angel. He doesn't quite understand the rules of time. And they're like, we have to sleep. We're not meeting you there right now. So it's just like a very famous, it's a throwaway joke from much earlier in the show. To turn it into this like introspective ballad is a really funny choice.
Okay, good. I felt like I was missing something there.
Yeah.
But I also really like this number. I think it's a little bit on the boring side, but I think it's a nice melody. And again, they're just cutting away from it so much. And again, it's another Park and Bark. But like beyond that, I thought it was really pretty. And with that extra knowledge, I think it's pretty funny too. Yeah,
it's really not funny unless you know that that's a specific reference to a specific joke that was made much earlier in the show. That's where the humor comes from. Is really, for me, like the cut to, actually, I did find the audience reactions there very funny. Like the audience, sort of like a woman like puts her hand on her heart. That's really funny to me. It just pales in comparison to A Single Man Tear, which is like the standout number from this good. For sure.
I was thinking, like, while I was watching it, of like, if we ever do like a list of what are all the best individual songs from shows, A Single Man Tear has a good shout to make a running for, you know, top 5, top 10 in that list. I think it was very funny and very good.
It was really funny. It was really well performed. I think like the earnestness with which that little girl sings it is really, really very funny.
Carry On My Wayward Son. You have a lot of notes.
Yeah. First of all, it's such a good choice to have the woman who plays their mom open that, like their literal mom seeing their son. 10 out of 10. No notes on that.
Great.
That's really good. But basically, it's like that, leaving it. Okay, so having girls sing it up the octave, and then again, this is all girls' school. That is a really tricky range for most girls, especially around that age, because the verses are a bit more in chest voice, and the chorus is very much more in a head voice. And you do spend a lot of time right where most of those girls are going to start breaking. It meant that the chorus, because everybody's up in their head voice, is like a little weak and like carried back. And like, I know we're doing like a slow cover of like this like rock song, and we're really like supposed to be drawing the emotion out of it. We have a lot of like long cuts to Dean and Sam, and this song is very important to the show and all of that. But I think like we did a disservice by not transposing it to where these girls were more comfortable. So that they can really put more into it. And again, doing it all in unison is such a boring choice when you have like 6 vocalists up there, and then adding a chord on the last 2. I hated that. Like, don't do that, please.
Didn't care for that at all. Yeah, having, you know, a couple people sing an octave down does not a harmony make, you know?
And they're not comfortable there either. So nobody sounded super comfortable on this song.
Yeah.
Which sucks because we're doing our seasons of love.
Yeah, I wish they almost arranged it similar to Seasons of Love, because you could do that. There's a way to make that happen to poke fun at that, because it's only visually
standing
Seasons
in a line
of Love.
And everybody has an individual spot. I was thinking that the lighting budget for this particular high school was quite high.
yeah, totally.
They've got some moving lights, and I was like, we definitely did not have that capability at my school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't care for the arrangement of this, and I thought it did a bit of a disservice for it to be the final song and for it to be kind of the most underwhelming.
Yeah. It's very basic. You know, I like that they're making the guitar riff of Carry On My Wayward Son a piano backing, like arpeggio type of thing. But beyond that, it's I mean, that's pretty basic, and I think most people would make that choice too anyway. But yeah, it did nothing for me really. It only made me want to have more stuff. So pretty much in the same boat as you there. Was there anything else in the episode, musically or otherwise, that really irked you or that you really liked?
I loved that in there. Well, we keep making a joke about a boy melodramatic scene, which is also funny to me. We keep making this joke, and of course, we cut to Dean and Sam driving away, and the last moment, and they don't say anything to each other, but we do get the riff for a single man tear in the music.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was so good. That was really strong.
Apparently, that joke comes from Robbie Thompson, the writer of this episode, being confused when he was put on Supernatural because people kept saying, "Oh, this is the BM moment of the scene."
Oh my
he was
God,
like, "What are you guys talking about?" So I think that's like a real term that the writers were using.
That's really funny, actually.
Also, I don't know how accurate this is, but apparently, the actors who played Sam and Dean had never heard any of the music before they filmed the scenes. So those, like, some of the reactions that they have are like genuine reactions they're having in the moment.
I love that, actually. That's a really good choice.
I like that too.
You couldn't not have done that with me because I would be laughing. That would be the wrong choice.
Laughing or nitpicking, right?
Or nitpicking. And be like, why is there no harmony on this?
Yeah, come on. Can we run this back? I really, really like when Sam calls that one girl a bitch on instinct, it feels like.
Yes, it's Dean and Sam have this like back and forth where Sam calls Dean a jerk and he calls Sam a bitch, and that's like sort of a term of endearment for them. So it is like jerk bitch is like a big back and forth of the show. So yeah, he calls her a bitch because that's what he calls Sam, and he like freezes up because he realizes he just called a 16-year-old a bitch.
Exactly. To your credit, he does such a good acting job in that moment of like saying it and then being like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't have said it, but I'm not stepping down from what I said." Like,
yeah, it's again like Jensen Ackles really does nail a lot of this character. He just got in a rut, I think. Like, this character only grows so much in 15 fucking years.
Can you explain to me, please, who is the person at the end of the episode? Because I think I have an idea, but the lore was really confusing to me.
Yeah, you mean Pinocchio from Once Upon a Time, another show we have to address on the show. Yeah, so this is also like Supernatural was not new to the like ultra meta space. So in what these girls have based their musical on is the books about Supernatural that are written by that guy. So that is the author who wrote the books about Supernatural. I'm gonna get this wrong, but I feel like it was a thing where he was like some kind of prophet. Like, he kept writing these and he actually didn't know Dean and Sam were real, but he was somehow like seeing what they would do. And that's like been resolved by this time in the show. Like, he's not really much a part of it anymore, and I think has been gone for a while, which I think is why you get that slow reveal where we see his back first and then it turns to him. I think he's been gone for a while. But yeah, at some point, Dean and Sam discover that there are books about them being written by this guy, and that has to be like resolved. So yeah.
And they actually match up with their lives, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's what I was understanding.
Yeah, exactly.
On different kinds of websites, they refer to him as God, which I thought was wild.
It's definitely like a religion. Again, the show got so weird. And like I started getting so lost. But yeah, he might be God. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Like he starts off as just an author who's having these like who's writing this series, but then he starts like having visions and he might be like God but with amnesia or something. I'm getting this wrong, but
Well, there was something I saw where it was like he's the side character of seasons 4 and 5 and the protagonist of season 11 and the main antagonist of season 12 and the ultimate antagonist of another season. I was like,
okay, so that makes
I
sense
can't
then if
understand
he's
any
been
of this.
gone since season 5-ish, and then if he's the antagonist in 11, this is like a multi-year comeback. So that would be why they pan to him so slowly, I'm sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The answer is it's too convoluted for me to possibly explain.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Are we ready to score this? Do you want to jump into that?
Let's do it.
All right, Liza, let's jump into scoring here. As always, starting with general vibe, enjoyment level, aging. Is it problematic? Is it good? What are your thoughts?
I think we both had a pretty good time. It doesn't really strike me as overly it's been 10 years. Nothing about this has aged particularly well or particularly badly. I think the overall message of it that, fan fiction is going to exist. You don't have to like all of it, but it's someone's is actually very sweet. And yeah, we both giggled. Like, it was funny. I think I wanted it to be a bit more of a musical, but
yes,
maybe that's more commitment and less vibe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's going to take points somewhere else. And I think general vibe is going to be pretty high for me, especially because I don't have a positive relationship with Supernatural. So I think it's doing some really heavy lifting.
I would actually classify my relationship as mostly negative. I still had a good time.
So I'm honestly an 8 or a 9 for me.
All right, I'm feeling an 8. An 8 feels right. Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Now the music. This is, arrangements. They wrote their own music, but like
mostly, yeah.
Listenability, chords, melodies, motifs. I feel like we really felt different kinds of ways.
Yeah, a single man tier does a lot of heavy lifting here.
I know, my God. Almost all of the positive points here are coming in for single man tier.
Yeah. For me, I think musically it's surprisingly great on the arrangement side of things and pretty solid with the performance. I know that's a different category, but I think, yeah, it's tough because this is like almost more of a directing thing. I just wish they had more of the music and held on it longer.
Yeah, I think our only real note on musical arrangement is vocal arrangement, which I think does suffer sometimes.
And Carry On My Wayward Son was fine.
It was fine. It just, I feel like if you put a little bit more effort in, it could have been a lot better, I think payout on that could have been really high if we just put in more effort. So yeah, I'm feeling sort of like a 7.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I'm feeling a 7.
Love that for us.
Okay, lyrics. Again, a single man tier is going to do a lot of heavy lifting for lyrics.
Such heavy lifting here.
I didn't actually lean into the lyrics as much in this just because a lot of the subject matter that they're talking about are things I don't really know or understand.
Fair. That's fair.
But nothing was distractingly bad, and a single man tier was very good.
Yeah, I think the lyrics are mostly pretty simplistic. Again, we got like a big exposition song. We got really simple, especially at the top there, we got some pretty simple rhyme schemes, but this is supposed to be written by a teenager.
Yeah.
It's really dense with references, which is something I really appreciate. Again, the choice to make the backing of Single Man Tier a Latin ritual is so choice. That's such a good call.
That's really good.
I was blown away by that call. It was
incredible.
So powerful.
It's a really inspired choice.
It was really good.
I think maybe 7.5?
Yeah, I think so. I think a 7.5 is nice. Give them their flowers.
Yeah.
Because next up is dancing.
Yeah. Is it harsh to give it a 0? Because there's none.
We've never given anything a 0 before.
Thethere's no dancing, though. I don't know what to do with that.
I don't know what else to do.
It's like getting DQ'd, right? Like,
Yeah.
The most we can say for choreo is Sam getting beat up, right?
It's
Which
Dean,
is very
Dean
funny.
That gets beat up.
Oh,
but
Dean
yes,
getting beat up.
And it is funny. It is funny, and I want to give it 1 point for Dean.
You know what? I'll take that.
Okay. We're giving it 1 point for Dean
zeros.
being like absolutely yeeted in the background of a scene. And I guess, we also said during that scene, the ritual, they do walk in circles.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no.
We got that.
All right. Performance, acting and vocal performances, the difficulty of them. Like we've said, the acting is pretty good overall, and
Pretty
even
strong.
the teens, which is
I thought they were actually really good. The teens,
I thought the teens were solid.
They felt like theater girls. They felt like Supernatural fans, and they acted the hell out of their parts. They sang perfectly fine in a way that was very appropriate for those roles.
Mm-hmm.
I think performance is pretty strong. I could go 9 or 10 on this.
Yeah, I'm feeling like a 9. I'm taking a point off because Jared Padalecki's made of wood. Sorry, so this is an anti-Padalecki podcast. I can't believe I waited till now until say that. I don't like Jared Padalecki.
He really doesn't do anything in this episode, to be fair.
No,
you know?
I would argue he doesn't do anything ever that is productive for humanity.
Wow.
He's like not a good person.
Oh, is he not? Oh.
No, he's not. Yeah, he's been a bit of a shitbag for a long time.
Too bad.
Apparently he's just like really awful to be around and to work with, and has been complained about a lot, and is like super Republican.
Oh, okay. Well, he's out.
Did like a version of Walker, Texas Ranger, where like you're supposed to feel bad for the immigration enforcement officer.
All right.
Yike.
Yeah, say less.
So we're taking a point off because we don't like Jared Padalecki.
Cool. I'm down.
Okay. Writing.
Writing's interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting one.
On one end, really love the idea behind it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the kind of fun little references here are good. The jokes really hit. I think the jokes are very, very good in this. Don't know what's going on with Calliope. All of the monster side of things.
The monster of the week actually is weirdly the weakest part. Which is weird because that's what this show is about.
Yeah.
And that's the part that kind of doesn't work. It also takes too long. Like we said, pacing wise, putting that in the middle of the musical and cutting away from the musical too much actually sort of like weakened both storylines because my attention's being torn.
It's an interesting one because I think the idea is really good. I think the jokes are really good. I think the like writing of the musical itself is good. I think the plot is bad.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like, should
I
be
think
most
what
of the
doesn't
writing.
work is the plot.
Yeah.
Like we said, it's like impossible to figure out why Calliope would be here. It's not justified, even kind of. They like it's also annoying because they land on like a slightly more believable version of the story, which is that
and
like
then they throw it out,
and then they throw it away immediately.
It's weird. It's a weird
Which is
choice.
so
I assume
strange.
that that's like a reference to something because they have that same kind of demon thing
But like
show up
it
in another
happens,
thing. But
they ran out of demons, you know. Like you gotta fight
that's
another
probably it.
demon again. Like okay, it's a tulpa again, but it's been 200 episodes. Like cut them some slack. It was really odd. Like that scene was actually so strange to me because I do all this research to say it's a tulpa, and then Sam pulls Dean aside and is like, "That's not it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Yeah.
Like,
And it slows everything down. It feels weird because I just want to get to the musical at that point too. So yeah, I don't like a 6.5.
yeah, I like a 6.5 actually. I was waffling between 6 and 7. So let's go for 6.5 because again, like there are parts of this that really work, like scene to scene. Like a lot of scenes really work, but then they don't work in sequence.
Yes, and the jokes really hit for me. I was laughing a lot.
I giggled. This was funny. All right, so direction. We've noticed that Marie struggles as a director. She only parks at parks, but how about for the whole thing? Those Dutch angles are really funny.
They're really funny. I like that a lot.
That's such a horror trope, you know?
Yeah.
Like something scary and jarring that has thrown your world off kilter, right? And like that's the Dutch angle. Suddenly the ground's not where it's supposed to be. And to put that on like there's a musical about me is really funny to me.
Yeah. And it does play well with the terror on their faces. You know what I mean? Like
it plays
I think that
really
works
well. I thought that was a really good choice.
But I think it can be said that some of the writing problems are also directing problems. Like the cutting in between a single man tier and the fight scene, I think is bad, and it keeps happening over and over again.
And over. Yeah. I totally agree. I think sometimes focus is split, and therefore the episode feels a little bit disjointed.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know much about how these episodes usually look. It seemed like it was, pretty standard to me.
Yeah, it's shot filmically pretty familiar to most Supernatural episodes.
Yeah, and I like the acting direction that they're being given. I thought the acting was really great.
Yes, yeah.
But I think it's kind of fine. I think probably a little bit better than the writing, but maybe like only a 7 for me.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. God, we love a 7.
We do love a 7.
What would be really funny is if we took away the ability to give 7s. We can't. We would,
we would just do 7.5s and 6.5s.
You're so right. It wouldn't help.
Commitment. We talked about this before, like how much they commit to the concept of a musical, original songs, all that kind of good stuff. They kind of commit and kind of don't for me.
They commit more to fan fiction than they do to a musical.
Yes, 100%.
It's sort of incidental that this fan fiction is a musical. Because really so the musical itself, I think, is a bit underserved by the episode, as we've addressed. So like, I think it's really great that they wrote their own songs. I think it's very fun that they poked fun at themselves a lot through those. The staging of it felt really honest and really like very high schooly, even if sometimes the budget is inscrutable. But I still think that like in terms of screen time, we really don't give the musical aspect of it that much time. It really felt like it could have been a play.
Yeah, it does feel like they're in kind of two boats of like, hey, is this like a celebration episode, or is this a musical episode, or is this a fan fiction episode? And I feel like it becomes more of a celebration and more a nod to fan fiction than it does to musicals or musical theater, even though they do have some of that.
Totally. I think it was just the most telegenic way of talking about fan fiction, right? Because watching an episode where Sam and Dean discover fan fiction about themselves that's just been written is not very interesting to watch. This is a much more watchable version of that. But it feels sort of just they picked a musical because maybe it's the thing that would offend Dean the most because of his masculinity, right?
Right.
It doesn't feel like they picked musicals to talk about musicals. Except someone on the writing staff does have a lot to say about musicals.
Exactly.
One person on the writing staff.
So for me, maybe like a 5.
Yeah, I feel like a 5 is right. It's right in the middle there. They could have done more, but they didn't do nothing.
Yeah. Now we're talking about stakes.
Yes.
So could you skip this episode? Obviously, is it a game changer? What are the stakes of the episode? It seems like they have some semblance of stakes because of the God Rider character that shows up at the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, before you said that, I really thought the stakes were pretty much nil. But now that you have alerted me that he was the villain for the next season, feels a little bit higher. Otherwise, you also said that this is one of the only episodes where nobody dies.
Yeah.
So actually, the stakes are really low, even for Supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think stakes were the point of this episode, to be fair, but they're pretty low. I think you could skip this, maybe except for Chuck being reintroduced. But it does feel a bit missable.
It's interesting though, because you can skip this episode for sure, and I think you'd be fine. I wonder how much that's true for most Supernatural episodes. But it does.
Don't you miss 22 episode orders?
We talk about it all the time. I miss it so much. I want those. But it is one of those episodes that I think is a huge fan favorite. And I think if you want to get why people like Supernatural, I think you have to see this episode.
Totally.
That's me knowing nothing about Supernatural, but it feels that way to me.
Yeah, it's definitely a fan favorite. It's stuck around in the consciousness a lot, especially I think a single man tier.
So maybe like a 6, I want to say. I feel like it's not, there's not high stakes, but there are a lot of things that are important for the vibes of this show in this episode. Does that make sense?
I'm kind of thinking 5, so let's go 5.5.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like it's really middling for me because the stakes of the episode itself are low.
Yeah, are really low.
It's just that it means a lot to the community, but I don't. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Yeah, that seems totally fair to me.
Okay.
Okay, and then on to personal ranking, the big one.
I feel like you and I might separate on this a little bit.
Maybe.
The thing is I do think it's more good than it is bad, but I don't want to give it the vibe score, which we already gave it. But I think I have my number.
Okay, I've got my number too.
Okay, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, 6.5. Okay.
That seems right.
That seems right. Okay, can you do math, please? What's between 4 and 6.5?
Yeah. That's 10.5 divided by 2. That's 5.25.
5.25. I can't believe we're at 0.25 on here. That's truly my fault, but I'm already mad about it. Wow. That made this so close. Okay.
Yeah, that made that super close.
Whoa. So Supernatural has come in with 61.75, which is 0.25 beneath Andy's play.
Yeah, and just 0.75 above Pinky Pride.
Oh my God.
Placing it right at 12.
Right at 12. Just like throwing it. Wow. Splitting the middle there by a hair. That is insane.
It's really close in that kind of, 8 to 14 range.
That 8 to 14 range is crazy. It still seems like that 80 and up feels almost impenetrable. That top 5. But that range from 60 to wow, fascinating.
That seems about right to have The Office just above this one for me.
It does, I think. I think The Office, as we talked about, it committed a little bit harder. It was a little bit more fun overall, and minute for minute, I think. But not by a lot. Not by a lot.
Next week, we'll see you once more with Season 2, Episode 21 of Even Stevens, entitled Influenza.
Oh, I'm so excited. You can find this episode on Disney+.
Thank you, as always, to Olivia Braslovsky, our angelic audio architect, and to Sakena Powell, our magnificent marketing maven.
If you like the show, please be sure to rate and review us. And if you don't, keep it to yourself. You can find us on Instagram at Once More With TV or contact us using the information in the show notes. And scene.